All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We will get started as people still trickle in. Welcome to our webinar focusing on improving the ROI of your sponsored updates campaigns. And we have a guest speaker, Kelly from Unified, as well with us. So just a quick introduction. My name is Celine. I'm here to give you an overview of our Certified Marketing Partner Program and its benefits, specifically focusing on our sponsored updates partners. And then I'll hand it over to Kelly from Unified. She works for, Unified is one of our certified marketing partners, and she will walk you through some best practices and case studies. So, quick agenda, as I said, we will focus on Sponsored Updates Partner Program, and then Unified will go over best practice for paid, owned, and earned media, and then hopefully we'll have some time at the end also for Q&A. Before we get started, I just want to give you a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please send them through the Q&A feature of WebEx. If you have any shout-outs or other questions, you can also tweet them with the hashtag LinkedIn content. And this will be a recorded session, and you will get both the slides as well as the recording afterwards. And lastly, we will be sending you a follow-up survey right after the webinar. Please fill out our survey. This really helps us comb through your feedback and make sure that our webinars meet exactly the types of topics you're looking for, the audiences you're looking for, etc. And let's get started. We'll start with an overview of LinkedIn Certified Marketing Partner Program. Even taking a step back, let's give a little bit of context. As you may have experienced over the past few years, LinkedIn has changed significantly. Engagement with the platform is getting higher and higher, and people are coming back regularly. One big reason for this is content. LinkedIn's mission is to help professionals be more productive and successful. And content is a great way for our members to learn ways to be more effective at their jobs or gain new expertise for a job they want. We see that content is now receiving 7 times more engagement than jobs, which I think is a staggering number every time I see it. We've seen efforts such as Pulse, SlideShare, posts, both from influencers as well as members, help transform LinkedIn into the definitive professional publishing platform. And the site has evolved over the years to help this trend, with the newsfeed becoming the central hub for professional content. With the increasing what we call newsfeedification of social media platforms, the launch of sponsored updates also came at the right time. Sponsored updates, as you probably already know, is the ability for a marketer to reach the desired audience with their content directly in the feed. Because it sits in the newsfeed, it allows advertisers to reach professionals wherever they choose to access LinkedIn. It could be from their office, on the go, or on the couch at home catching up on content over the weekend. We see that engagement is actually higher on mobile, with significantly more than half engagement. We're seeing almost 3/4 of the engagement coming from mobile devices. In addition, marketers appreciate price per click bidding system that puts them in control of their advertising spend and performance to improve ROI. So the success of sponsored updates has been tremendous for our customers as well as for LinkedIn. It's been a really fast-growing product. Going into 2015, brands have a lot more competition in the auction to reach their target audience. Becoming an expert and optimizing your efforts to get the best bang for your buck is becoming more and more important. A couple of reasons for this uptick in activity are some of the new features we released in the past year for marketers. Let's start off with showcase pages. Showcase pages finally unlock the opportunity for subsidiaries or standalone campaigns to have their own dedicated content marketing presence while still maintaining a link to the parent company page. These have the ability to send both organic as well as sponsored updates. We also released direct sponsored content, also known as dark posting in other social networks. These allow brands to send a message directly to the target audience's feed without publishing it on their company page or showcase page. Most importantly, it helps boost campaign results through testing variations of their content and see what works. As you see this example from Xerox that was testing different variations. The opportunity for marketers to reach their audience has never been better with sponsored updates, but doing it right can take a lot of expertise and effort. So customers turn to us for additional resources to help them meet their objectives and tap into the LinkedIn platform in a more effective way. Based on this feedback, last year in April, we launched the Certified Marketing Partner Program. The partner program consists of many types of partners, but the ones specifically geared to help sponsored updates advertisers are content partners, company page partners, and sponsored updates partners. So let's give a quick overview of these. Content partners help create useful, valuable content for our advertisers. Company page partners help promote that content organically to the company page. And lastly, sponsored updates partners help get the content to the right people while delivering the best results from a performance standpoint for these paid campaigns. Here's a chart that shows you the various types of partners we support. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go over them one by one, but you will get these slides afterwards, and I will also highly encourage you to check out marketing.linkedin.com to do a deeper dive into some of these partners and understanding their capabilities. And the thing to note here is, as you will see, some partners fall into multiple categories based on the functionality they offer. So you can use one partner for two needs. So as you know, today we will primarily deep dive into sponsored updates partners, Unified being one of them. In a nutshell, sponsored updates partners help clients and agencies buy and manage their paid social media campaigns across social channels. They have an advanced technology on top of LinkedIn's platform that provides additional functionality, and they sometimes offer to help manage these campaigns as well. They help customers get the best results from their sponsored updates campaigns depending on what the customer needs are. Here's a quick chart on how sponsored updates partners work. Let's start at the top. Brands decide that they want to develop a paid media strategy for LinkedIn, so they want to use sponsored updates. They may also already work through an agency to manage their paid media efforts on other channels. Sponsored updates partner works with them by providing technology or service to help with strategy and execution of these campaigns. And these sponsored updates partners plug into the various social platforms with their technology, which often has robust additional functionality over native solutions. In other words, think of this as a cross-network campaign management platform to make your job easier. So I think this is a really powerful chart to show you what partners offer versus what's available through LinkedIn natively. In the interest of time, again, I will not go through them one by one, but I do want to highlight a few of them. The first one is bulk editing to multiple campaigns to save you time. Another really good one is day parting that can schedule campaigns to go on or off based on different triggers. And some partners even offer conversion tracking to help B2B marketers measure the efficacy of their lead gen efforts. And I'm actually going to have a mini case study about this in a little bit. And the numbers speak for themselves here. What this all translates to is that partner campaigns perform significantly higher than service models thanks to their advanced functionality as well as their expertise. We've seen partners' campaigns perform 3 times higher than non-partner service models such as self-serve. Another trend that we're seeing is that these numbers are improving quarter after quarter as partners refine their technology and gain even more expertise. And here are a few quick case studies to highlight the benefits. We looked at some of our always-on advertisers to understand the performance of campaigns before a partner and then after to illustrate the impact. The first one is a growing tech startup. They used one of our certified partners who offer a self-serve power tool for social and search. They're a small team with a huge responsibility to generate demand for a fast-moving sales team. Their biggest pain point was that the manual work required to manage their campaigns natively was holding them back from scaling. We got them to set up with this partner's platform, and they were able to help them reduce the overhead required to manage their campaigns by half through automation and improve their CTR by nearly 2x through multivariate testing using direct sponsored content, and ultimately generate 3x the leads that they were able to create. They were also able to get conversion tracking with this partner to prove the value of their sponsored updates campaigns, as I was referring to earlier, which is very important for a lead gen client. Another example that you see in the bottom is a large enterprise mobile company that opted to work with a managed service partner for their cross-social media buying. On LinkedIn, we saw that their CTRs jumped 4x to about 2.5%, which is about 7 times the LinkedIn benchmark, which is huge. At the same time, they were able to reduce their cost per click by almost half through optimization and targeting. So seeing improvement both in the bottom line and the top line. One other important thing to understand about selecting a partner is that partners are all different in what they offer. We break most use cases into 2 key areas. Who is the primary user? Is it an agency or an in-house client? And how is it going to be used? Directly managed by client or agency, or is it going to be outsourced to a managed service provider? So when you look at the top left, these partners are generally providing managed service and have focus on agencies mostly. Top right, these partners are also focused on agencies, but develop self-serve tools to help agencies run campaigns across multiple clients in a more effective way. In the bottom left, these partners often work with clients directly, providing strategy and execution services. In the bottom right, these partners build self-serve technology designed for in-house client teams. Again, there are some cases where a partner may fall into different categories, but this should be a good guiding principle and starting place. So we hope this overview has been helpful to see the benefit of working with a partner. If you're interested in working with a partner, we'd recommend that you first document your needs and pain points so that you can understand where the gaps are and what kind of partners will work well with your needs. If you're working with an agency or you are an agency, understand the pre-existing partner relationships, as there might have already be a preferred partner that you or your agency is working with. Ask us for help and introductions at partner-operations@linkedin.com, or ask your account executive if you're already working with one. And ultimately select a partner that's right for you and see these results for yourself. And without further delay, I would like to introduce you to Kelly from Unified. Kelly is a Director of Strategy and Sales Operations at Unified, and I'm so excited to hear some of the best practices that she and her team identified by working extensively with our sponsored updates advertisers. She's able to bring such rich perspective. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. Take it away, maybe starting with going deeper into what you do at Unified.
Sure, no problem. Thanks, Celine. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody on behalf of Unified for joining us today to learn a little bit more about how to improve your ROI, but also how to learn a little bit more about Unified as well. So as Celine said, my name is Kelly Sakin. I'm the Director of Strategy at Unified. And my role there is to work with brands to help them develop, brands and agencies, to help them develop the best strategic approach for their social campaigns by leveraging great products like the LinkedIn Sponsored Update. So to give you a little bit more background on Unified and what we do there, we are the creators of the first data-driven platform for real-time social marketing at scale. So what that does is what that means is it enables marketers to really use data and intelligence to make smart, data-driven decisions and recommendations that really drive their business results. So our mission at Unified is to continue to develop marketing solutions that really do make marketers smarter. As you can see, we've received several awards for our technology, But we're also really proud that we've also received some for service. And we really hang our hat on having the best service in social, which was recognized by the Forrester Wave report, and we were the only vendor to receive a perfect score in service. We also recently received Ad Age's Best Places to Work award. So we don't only just hire the best and brightest in the industry, but we really hire people that are passionate about what they do, and they really take a lot of pride in their work and ensuring that they're laser focused on our clients' success. So diving into what we're going to cover today, so you're obviously all here to learn about the power of sponsored updates and how you can maximize your ROI. So we're going to look at it through a paid perspective, owned as well as the best practices for all of your organic content. And then we're going to learn a little bit about earned media and how to unlock dark social. So a recent Eloqua study showed that the majority of B2B marketers really do realize the true value of social. However, the majority of them are really using it primarily for awareness. And as you can see here, only 35% are using it for demand generation. And a lot of them attributed that to purely having a lack of strategy or real understanding of how to best use social for demand generation. So there really is a huge opportunity here to leverage social for demand gen, particularly when we do see that LinkedIn drives 3 times more effective lead generation than any other social platform. So I wanted to cover first the difference between a brand update and a sponsored update. And the main thing is that a sponsored update really allows brands to deliver content into the homepage feed of members that don't necessarily follow them. So a lot of heat map studies show that, and particularly with a lot of the different social networks these days, people's eyes definitely tend to gravitate towards the feed. What that means is that you have a highly engaged and captive audience. Now you can see from the screenshots here, particularly on LinkedIn, the different ad units across the platform. So you've got desktop, mobile, and tablet. You can see that the amount of real estate that these sponsored updates take up really is significant, particularly not just when you're comparing that to the previous LinkedIn ads that were available, but also when you're comparing it to traditional display advertising. So what that means is that you not only have an engaged and captive audience, but you're generating much more higher engagement rate because it is taking up so much of the feed. And as Celine mentioned before, this is the only ad unit that is available on mobile for LinkedIn. So you are able to reach that mobile audience that is in a professional mindset. One of the really great features about sponsored updates is the ability to have direct sponsored content. So what this is updates that don't necessarily appear in a company's timeline, and they have been created exclusively for advertising. So here you have the ability to create specific targeting, specific creative that is tailored to a specific targeting group, and so you can run that and have the content really resonate with that audience. So for example, if you had a product that could work across an organization, you would probably want to have different messaging that you're targeting towards someone in the IT department. Potentially it would be something about the internet speed or the bandwidth. But then if you're going to target someone in the HR department, you may want to highlight something along the lines of how is it going to affect your workforce? How is it going to make people happier and more efficient? So it gives you the ability not only to test creative, but against the unique target audience, as well as different calls to action. And then you can optimize accordingly. So whichever one is driving the best results, you'd obviously want to put further paid amplification behind that particular combination. So we have a great case study here that Unified ran for a major insurance brand. And as you can imagine, insurance does work across multiple industries. So we were tasked with the challenge of increasing engagement through sponsored updates, trying to reach senior level executives across various industries. So as you can imagine, we were going to have a different message tailored for each of those different industries. So we did pair the unique creative with the specific industries and job titles to ensure that it really was relevant to those individuals that were receiving the content. So as you can see here, the results outperformed benchmarks with a 2x higher engagement rate and a 70% more efficient CPC. So it just really speaks to the fact that the content, when it does resonate with an audience, you're going to drive so much more efficiency. So LinkedIn gives you the ability to reach over 347 million professionals and business decision makers. And when you're starting your campaign and you have your core targeting group, your targeting is based on the profile data that people are including in their own personal LinkedIn profile. And sometimes we find that those groups or those core audiences can be quite small and quite niche. So that means it could be quite difficult to actually reach them. It can also be quite expensive because it is a smaller audience. So what the audience expansion tool enables us to do is to scale campaigns to reach members that are similar to that core audience in terms of job type, industry, or company. So the example here is if you're looking to target, say, C-level executives in Microsoft, Dell, Hewlett-Packard, if we apply the audience expansion, what we can then potentially do is target people by seniority within companies that are similar to these tech companies, also within the technology industry. So really casting that net wider and giving us a better chance to drive efficiency for our campaign. We have another case study for a major B2B brand that Unified ran. So we were tasked with trying to reach the high-powered executive group. And in order for us to try and reach this group, we developed 7 different core targeting groups. And what we did was we ran an initial blast to those 7 different targeting groups, and then we worked out which was the best performing and applied the audience expansion to it, which enabled us to deliver exceptional results here. So you can see 54% higher click-through rate and a 33% more efficient CPC. So really having the ability to leverage that expansion targeting is worthwhile leveraging, particularly if you are trying to reach a smaller or a niche audience. So the content that you are using in your updates really is your opportunity to captivate and engage your target audience. So you really need to ensure that it's relevant to the environment, being a business and professional environment. So you need to remember why people are on LinkedIn and the mindset that they're in when you're posting your content. So you want to ensure that your content is personalized. So don't be afraid to actually directly call out in your headlines who you're trying to reach. So, is that someone in HR, or is it an entrepreneur or a manager? So really grabbing their attention in the headlines. You also want to make sure that your updates are actionable. So it needs to be really clear to the member, but what action is it that you want them to take? And definitely test out multiple calls to action. So click here, learn more, visit our website, things like that. You also want to ensure that it's concise but still valuable. So we see a significantly higher click-through rate on updates that have copy that is about 150 characters or less. So you want to make sure that it's short, sharp, and to the point. It really is a finite amount of time to grab their attention, so you want to make sure that it is valuable. So you can see from these images here as well that or the screenshots rather of the updates, that the images really do take up quite a lot of real estate. So you want to ensure that they're high quality, really eye-catching. Also, if you have a really recognizable product or someone within your organization, say, a leader within your company that is quite recognizable, you might want to test out actually using them in the imagery. If people are moving through their feed and they recognize either someone that works at your organization or your product, they're instantly going to know what the update is about or who it's about, and you have a much higher chance of actually grabbing their attention and getting them to engage with your content. So we often see that it takes about 10 pieces of content to be consumed before a purchase decision is actually made. And with an average of 7 business decision makers involved in a B2B purchase, you have to have quite a lot of content. So make sure that you do develop multiple pieces of content, that it is high quality and that it is going to be valuable, but also test out the posting strategy. So what we tend to see is during the week, people are engaging and consuming content. However, on weekends, they tend to actually be making the conversion. So that obviously speaks to the fact that people tend to have more time on the weekends. If they are perusing LinkedIn during the week, it's probably during lunchtime, in between meetings, on the go, or at nighttime. So you definitely want to test your posting strategy. And every company is different and every audience is different. So that may not necessarily directly translate to you or your brand, but you should absolutely test your posting strategy and your content to see what's resonating best with your company, with your audience, and then apply that moving forward. So when we're talking to brands about the content that they're developing, there's definitely 3 sort of key pillars that we recommend that you stay aligned with. And again, you really need to understand, why are people coming to LinkedIn? They're there to invest their time. They're in a professional mindset, so you need to ensure that your content truly is valuable to them. So the first one is educate. People are coming to LinkedIn to build new skills for personal, professional growth. They want to advance their career. So you need to create content that's going to actually help them achieve those different things. The second is to inspire. So people are coming to LinkedIn not only for personal development, but also for their company's development. So they want to take their business to the next level. So whether that's implementing a new process, a new program, a new product, or seeing what other professionals and leaders are doing, they really want to be inspired and be given ways of how they can get to that next level. And the last one is nurture. So this is kind of closing out the application of both education and inspiration, but you need to ensure that throughout the entire process you are continuing your brand story, that you are nurturing people through every step, every stage of the way through the marketing funnel to conversion. So on average, the value of purchases are nearly 50% higher with nurtured leads. So it really is crucial for your ROI that you are nurturing every step of the way. So with the continual development and advancements of smartphone technology, it's no surprise that smartphone penetration is at an all-time high. It's nearly 75%. And the majority of total digital media engagements are actually happening in apps. So that is like LinkedIn and your other social platforms. They're all apps, and that's where the majority of activity is actually taking place. So you absolutely cannot ignore mobile. And you really need to ensure that your content is appropriate for mobile. So follow the recommended mobile specifications, ensuring that the images are rendering, that your text isn't truncated. If you are going to drive someone off-site, make sure that that site is mobile optimized. If you're asking them to take an action off-site, can they complete that action off-site? You need to ensure that it truly is a seamless user experience on the mobile device. So moving into earned media. So a lot of marketers have not really been able to track the true content performance, or true performance of their content rather, to date due to limited first generational tracking. So what that means is your first generational tracking is someone interacting directly with your update or your ad. Multi-generation is the subsequent shares of shares and conversions based off that initial engagement. So think of it as a halo effect. So you can't attribute what was the paid execution interaction and what were all of the subsequent engagements that happened. So through Unified, it's quite a unique product. It's our own measurement solution. We're actually able to not only track first generation, but all of that downstream multi-generational activity and attribute it to the initial first generation interaction, which proves the true ROI of that initial paid initiative. The second element is unlocking dark social. So if you think about your own consumption of content and your own sharing, if I'm on LinkedIn and I see an update and I click through and I go to a landing page and download a white paper, if it's something that I find really interesting and I want to share with my colleagues, chances are I'm probably going to copy and paste the URL either into an email or into a chat window. And we call that dark social because that share is then lost. However, with Unified's earned measurement solution, we're actually able to track all of that sharing of what we call dark social, whether it is through email, text message, chat, things like that. We can attribute that, again, back to the initial first generation interaction and really get the true value of your paid ROI. So we have a case study. This is a campaign that we did with L'Oreal in the US. They launched a new makeup brand for Michelle Pham. It was called M. And they really wanted to understand how their content and marketing promotional efforts really directly affected and contributed to sales. So we deployed Unified's earned tracking solution. And from that, we were able to track all of the multi-generational sharing, conversions, so actual sales of the product, and really attest to the true ROI of the campaign. So as you can see here, we actually unlocked an additional 34% more revenue attribution We had 2 times the conversion rate on the multi-generational clicks, and this was across 5 different platforms, channels rather. So it could be social, email. You can use this in your display, your search as well. So this is a really interesting product that we're really excited to bring to the market. So with that, I think we have a few minutes for questions. We're just going to take a minute to have a look at the questions that you guys have sent through, and then we'll take a stab at answering them. So one of the questions is, can I repurpose content from my website to my social channels? So the answer is absolutely yes, you can. But one of the things you really need to keep in mind is where you're going to syndicate that content and the mindset that the user is in when they are in that platform. So in the instance of LinkedIn, people are there wanting to learn, educate themselves, further their career, looking for inspiration to take their company to the next level. So you really want to ensure that your content is aligned for a business and professional environment. You know, the type of content that you would syndicate there would be very different to a piece of content that you would syndicate, potentially on Facebook or Twitter.
Okay, I see a question from Emily, and her question is, why is the text character limit on direct sponsored content much less than sponsored updates? So this is a really good question, and when we launched sponsored updates, obviously we didn't have historical data on what works and what doesn't work, and by the time we launched direct sponsored content, we had a much better understanding of best practices for content marketing, and what we've seen is that under 150 characters pretty much always works significantly better than a longer version. So we always recommend using the direct sponsored content text limit. Obviously, there might be exceptions, and if there are, there is ability to override the warning message. Another question I'm seeing here is from Steve, and the question, is there a difference between the type of sponsored posts you're referring to in your talk and regular sponsored posts where we post an update to our page and then sponsor it? You said something about sponsored updates that don't appear on your company page. I'll get started, and Kelly, feel free to jump in here. Yes, there are 2 different types of sponsoring actions you can do. The first one is taking an organic update that you might have shared with your followers on your company page or on your showcase page, and then sponsoring it and creating parameters. So what happens there is then everybody who's visiting your company page will see this update, and it will also be published on your followers' feed. And then you will be amplifying this message through sponsoring to your target audience. When you do direct sponsored content, this allows you to publish directly in the feed to your target audience without publishing it on your company page or your showcase page. And what's important there, or what it enables you to do, is you can have one company page that could be a conversation with your followers and have an entirely different advertising content marketing strategy that goes to your target audience. Another very important one that Kelly mentioned earlier is the ability to test different versions of your content and see what performs. As you might imagine, if you did that on the company page with your organic updates, someone who's visiting your company page would see multiple versions of the same update, which might not be a good member experience. Kelly, I don't know if you have anything else to add there.
I think you did a great job. The only other thing I would add is that if you have a product that is agnostic across multiple industries, you're able to really tailor that messaging and that creative to those particular industries. And as Celine said, you're not sort of bombarding your organic audience with a bunch of messaging that is, trying to get the same end action, but essentially is targeted to multiple different people. It's not really relevant to your complete audience.
Great. Another question I'm seeing from April here is, can you customize how sponsored content displays on desktop, mobile, and and other devices. Some looks good on desktop and not so much on the other devices. That's a very good question. You can go to our ad specs page, and it actually gives you specs to ensure that whatever you're uploading, both from an image standpoint as well as text standpoints, works the best. Our best practice is to really work to make the mobile version look as best as possible, and it will render well on desktop and tablet. All right, let's look through a little bit more. Jill has a question about how are you getting the image to click through to your website. When I upload an image in sponsored updates, I cannot assign a link, just expand image. So you actually can do it. And I actually need to be in front of my, I wish I could demo it, but when you first share the link and then upload the image, that should answer your question. And then I see another question here from Ben. And the question is, how much better do these ads perform compared to the other ad offerings that LinkedIn offers? So Ben, I wish there was a silver bullet and I could answer your question in a, it performs 3 times better type of way. I'm just going to kind of throw it back to you and say it depends on what your performance metrics are and what you care about. And what I would highly recommend is, if you're looking to do brand awareness, display is the right product, right? Then what you really care about is getting the impressions out, and then maybe complementing that with something like sponsored updates where you're showing snackable content and it's really creating brand awareness. So it's creating those synergies between the two to ensure that you are reaching your target audience in the best possible way. But if you're looking at nurturing your audience, getting something like sponsored updates to create that conversation with your prospects, and then using something like LinkedIn Lead Accelerator to start nurturing those waves of prospects and turning them into known leads may be the right strategy for you. So I can't tell you that there's a silver bullet. What I can tell you is that it completely depends on exactly what you're trying to do. And then once you have the right set of products, our teams here as well as our partners help you really optimize that and get the best out of the products that you chose.
So there's another question from Jessica. Is there a recommended number of direct sponsored updates a company should run? We are not reaching multiple audiences, so I don't want to bombard them with multiple updates. So this is kind of a two-pronged approach. So if you're talking about organic content and how many different pieces of content you should have, so you say you're not targeting multiple audiences. So in that case, you probably wouldn't want to run the direct sponsored updates. You probably just want to run standard updates. We typically say, and again, it depends on how long your campaign is running for, but our recommendation is generally 2 to 4 pieces of content a week. What that enables us to do is to use that content and have it targeted towards your audience and really see which one is resonating and obviously optimize and put more spend behind that particular piece of creative.
Awesome.
There's also another question from Ben. Do we have any specials if I wanted to try some of your marketing solutions? So I'm assuming, do we have any special offers from Unified? So I will have to defer to our sales team. However, I know that you will receive a follow-up message from Unified for signing up for this webinar. So I will definitely ensure that there is an answer to that question, and someone will be able to reach out to you and let you know what the specials will be in order to work with Unified.
Good day, Ben.
Good call.
All right. That is all I am seeing right now, and Ben is saying thank you. Thank you, Ben. Those are all the questions I'm seeing. Let's maybe hang out for one more moment to make sure that we're answering all the questions. Otherwise, we will give back the time to the audience. Great. The question here, which I'm actually not quite sure how to interpret, so Andrea, if you could help me understand a little bit better, is there any way to find out who's clicking through? So we obviously, as part of advertising policies, not just at LinkedIn but in general IAB, we do not disclose personally identifiable information to our advertisers, but you will have both using LinkedIn's platform and especially our partners' platforms, you will be able to see what types of audiences are clicking through, and it will really help you hone your campaign to the audiences that you see greater engagement with. I have one more question here, and the question is, what determines number of impressions? My sponsored update impressions vary wildly when targeting the same audience and same bid. How are the number of impressions determined? So your bid is not the only factor in determining how competitive the overall bid is for that content. It depends on your piece of content and how relevant it is to the target audience. So a good way to look at that is your click-through rate. So if you're seeing a lower click-through rate, then the algorithm determines that the relevancy of that content for that target audience might not be as high as some of the other content that it's competing against. So making sure that your content is relevant, punchy, some of the best practices that Kelly already talked about, making it relevant, useful to the target audience will really help you win those impressions, maybe even at a lower bid. So that's why you're seeing variations in your impressions, even though it might be the same audience and same bid. So for instance, I'm just going to give a really wild example here to illustrate the point. If you have Internet of Things content that is targeted towards nurses versus, IT professionals, you will probably be able to serve it to the IT professionals at a much lower bid than you would be able to nurses. Hope that silly analogy made sense. Another question. Thank you, Christopher. I'm glad that the analogy worked for you. I see another follow-up question from Andrea. Any way to find out who followed your company based on sponsored updates? Unfortunately, you cannot tie your followers to a specific sponsored update at this time. All right. I think that concludes it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and thank you so much, Kelly, for your super useful insights. Really appreciate it. And if you have any, thank you. And if you have any other questions, as I said, please feel free to visit marketing.linkedin.com, where we have a lot more best practices, case studies, deeper dive into product capabilities that you might find helpful, as well as an overview of our partner program, going through the strengths of our partner program and finding the right partner for you. Thank you, everyone.